Yo, grace and peace be with everybody. Usually there's a intro video, but I don't see it, so uh just came in that way. If you are joining me today, you know how I always do. I have to go through the disclaimer first and the introduction, and then we will get into it. So bear with me. All right. Oh snap. Got Mr. Chandler in the house. How you doing, sir?
I'm good.
Ooh, volume is up pretty good. All right, I'm about to read this disclaimer, bro, and then go into the intro, and then it's just open discussion from there. All right.
Okay.
All right. Give me a second. All right. So for anybody that's joining in, as I said, I always go through this disclaimer first. So the information presented here on Paradigm Shift TV 314 is made available solely for general information purposes only. Paradigm Shift TV 314 does not warrant the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of this information. Any reliance you place on this information is strictly at your own risk. Paradigm Shift TV 314 disclaims all liability and responsibility arising from any reliance placed on such materials by you or any other visitor to the platform, or by anyone who may be informed of any of its contents. Paradigm Shift TV 314 may include content provided by third parties, including materials provided by other users, bloggers, and third-party licensors, syndicators, aggregators, and or respective services. All statements and or opinions expressed in these materials and all articles and responses to questions and other content other than the content provided by Paradigm Shift TV 314 are solely the opinions of the and responsibility of the person or entity providing those materials. And again, as I always say at this part, that would be me. And today I got my brother uh David Chandler. So we will be the ones going through this today. But again, this is an open conversation, so anybody can hop on. So again, Paradigm Shift TV 314 uh, is not responsible or liable to you or any third party for the content or accuracy of any material provided by any third party. All right. So I grew up Christian, therefore my worldview is from a biblical perspective. And for nearly everything that I'm talking about, that I talk about, it's going to be from a Christian perspective. So this topic here, and my brother David here can testify that sometimes it's hard to talk with people on the conspiratorial view of history. And there's this little saying that I've gotten quite used to, and that is you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And with that said, humanity is under attack from all aspects of life, from what I can tell. Um, we're talking about being attacked from the media, environmental issues, food, health, the media, constantly lying to us, and how we're being fed apocalyptic prophecies from people like Cortez, who predicts that the world is going to be destroyed by 2035. And then we have the situation with the GMOs and all of that. So if you don't believe there's a conspiracy to destroy and depopulate the world of human beings, keep your head in the sand if you want to. But they can push the false narrative, but when it happens, don't come running to me and say, G, you try to tell us. Yeah, I'm trying to tell y'all now. So with that being said, um, I'm gonna click out of this because I don't need that anymore. And let's rock on. What's up, Dave?
What's going on?
Nothing much, bro. Nothing much. So you heard what I said. You saw what I said concerning this subject on the conspiratorial view of history. What's your idea? What's your take on that? Is it easy for you to talk to people about this subject?
Not really. There are some that have looked at history and started thinking that perhaps maybe there might be a conspiratory, some kind of conspiracy going on. But for the most part, it kind of falls on deaf ears. It kind of depends on who you talk to. Um, I've talked with, well, there was a next door neighbor that used to live right up the street from me. And, well, maybe about maybe a house or two, you know, away from me. And we would get into, we would talk for hours, basically, about some of the things that the government has been doing to us. And surprisingly, we got into the subject of the Illuminati and a lot of the secret societies and things of that sort. But with him, it's not from a biblical standpoint. It's basically from, I don't want to say it's a non-Christian standpoint. He usually his perspective is usually from a non-Christian standpoint, but he understands the spiritual aspect of it. If you can believe that, you know, um, he understands it from that there is something out there, and he believes that that something out there warned us. He says that our ancestors warned us from, and not antiquity, but from way back when, from Egypt. And he says that they've been telling us about these things. And I said, well, I don't know if that's true or not, but we see all of these things didn't start happening until recently. One of the first um, secret societies is that came over
Well,
here. Okay, go ahead.
I don't want to jump ahead. I don't want to jump ahead.
Oh,
Uh, the only thing I was asking was as far as like talking about the conspiratorial view of history, how is it how is that task for you when talking to other people about the conspiratorial view of history?
well, like I said, it depends on who you talk to. Um, and some people, they don't really want to get into it. But Christians, on the other hand, they really don't like talking about it at all because they kind of figure it's not necessarily all that. It doesn't really, it's not relevant. It's not relevant to the gospel getting out. And so, with that in mind, I don't really talk to them about conspiracy theories, quote unquote. But people that are on the outside looking in, you can, but you kind of like have to walk around on the eggshells. And again, like I said before, it kind of depends on who you talk to.
Okay. I I see what you're saying. Now you know there's a lot of Christians out there that do uh believe that there's a conspiratorial view of history. Uh our brother Julius Reinhardt, he said he wanted to join in today. So he has the link. So Julius, if you're watching or uh if you get time, the floor is open for you. I got about 2 hours. So but again, there are quite a few Christians that know about the conspiratorial view. You and I being one of them, and it's pretty.
Oops. Well, he went out. He went away.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For some reason, my mother wanted to call me at uh so I'm doing the show off my phone because this laptop the school gave me ain't working too well. But like I was saying, there are Christians that know about the conspiratorial view of history, and I understand how difficult it can be to talk to people, not just not just under the religious umbrella, but also those who are, you know, not under the religious, in all camps, because I think maybe it stems from fear. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe people are afraid to accept the fact that there is a small group of people in this world planning on our ultimate destruction, because then it puts you in a place to, okay, now as a believer in Christ, we have the answer, you know what I'm saying, to that problem. But for unbelievers, I don't know how they approach that problem. I sort of kind of feel like they may be complicit with the whole system. You there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. But yeah, I agree. There are Christians that there may be some fear involved in that. Um, in other instances, they may think that it's not relevant. They could care less about it. There are, and like I said, God has a remnant of faithful believers who look at the world from a biblical perspective, and not only that, but they look at conspiracy theories from a scriptural perspective as well, and they understand that the government, this age, like the Bible says, is ran by a satanic elite. The Bible says that. Um, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and against rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in high places. So those conspiracy theories are satanically inclined.
Mm.
And there are believers that are discerning enough to understand this.
Right. Yeah. So next week's discussion, now I'll be doing the whole presentation next week. And again, you free to hop on and join in and give your input, because like like we talk all the time on the phone. And so, when we have these discussions and you bring up these names, and not all the time, I'll be like, okay, I don't know who this person is or that person is. But then in the middle of a particular research like I had to do for this one, uh some of the names that I heard you say will pop up, and I'll be like, man, my man's know what he's talking about for real. So, kudos to you for that. But next
God be the
next
glory.
amen. But next week, I'll be doing the whole presentation. Um, so what I want to do is move forward to, I want to share this confirmation, because I got into a little discussion with a brother, and I pulled up the point, I posted the point that the government has now, and I'm going well, first I'm gonna share this first. I want to take away all the fun. See, share screen. Which one do I want to do? Robert F.K. Let's- All right. Can you see that, sir?
Yep.
All right.
Kennedy Jr., maybe Donald Trump's most controversial cabinet pick, in the hot seat on Wednesday, facing questions over his conspiracy theories, abortion, and of course, vaccines, as he looks to become America's next health secretary.
He has made it his life's work to sow doubt and discourage parents from getting their kids life-saving vaccines.
But in his opening statements, RFK Jr. downplaying his anti-vaccine rhetoric.
I believe that vaccines play a critical role in healthcare. All of my kids are vaccinated. I've written many books on vaccines. My first book in 2014, the first line of it is, I am not anti-vaccine. And the last line is, I am not anti-vaccine.
Those statements are a bit different from the ones he's made in the past.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
Democrats remain united against Kennedy's nomination, urging Republicans to block his bid to lead the U.S. Health Department.
I truly believe that if he runs HHS, that millions will die.
RFK Jr. is absolutely the most dangerous nominee to run HHS in our history.
This
Of
is a
course.
Democrat.
Aren't Kennedy's only critics. The president himself called him a radical left liberal during RFK's short-lived presidential campaign.
I'd even take Biden over Jr. because our country would last about a year or two longer than it would with Jr. It would collapse almost immediately.
Kennedy's family, a famed political dynasty, have often been among his biggest detractors. In a damn, John F. Kennedy warned senators about her cousin's past behavior.
I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together. It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence.
Carolyn Kennedy added that her father and uncle would be disgusted by Kennedy Jr.'s views.
Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father. It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations.
Brandon Shogri, City News.
So how did that make you feel, bro? Just watching that. So yeah, how did that make you feel?
It's kind of interesting how the Democrats are behind the pushing of the vaccine when Biden was in office. Well, actually, before the COVID pandemic started, I think about maybe, well, not before, but when the COVID pandemic started, Fauci said that they didn't know whether the virus was going to be transmitted through the airborne, or whether it was going to be transmitted through close personal contact. And so they kind of wavered back and forth about it. And then all of a sudden, Fauci gets on television and says that, well, we didn't hear anything about it after that. And then he decides to get on television and start pushing the vaccines.
Okay.
Because,
So yeah, so as far as Robert Kennedy is concerned, I brought him up because you saw in the beginning of that video, he straight called him a conspiracy theory. And then the rest of the video, it's supposed to be news. The rest of the program, the 2 minutes that they had to inform us about, you know what I'm saying, the particulars, all I saw was attacks.
Yeah.
Attack.
it's
And
pejorative.
yeah,
It's treated as a pejorative thing. You're a conspiracy theorist. You hear this from, and that's a common liberal attack to be labeled and lauded as a conspiracy theory, a conspiracy theorist, when you're pointing out certain things that aren't right about what the government is doing.
right. Now, the crazy part about that, and I think that all of this falls within the whole like I said, the media, right? So
Right.
if you got the media, and this is something that I deal with. So, friends of mine, my family, you know what I'm saying, the ones who don't agree with Trump and all that. I love y'all, but sometimes y'all can go a little overboard, because I'm sure if any one of them would have seen this video, they would be like, see, look, he electing crazy people. And then when you look at the fact that Trump did talk negative about uh Robert Kennedy, but now he's trying to bring him onto his cabinet, and the reason why is because there is some merit to what this man is saying. If you don't believe me, let me pull this up. Let me stop sharing this. Now they called him a conspiracy theorist. Let's see, share screen. Which one is it? FDA. Let's go straight to the FDA website. Can you see it, my brother?
And yes.
Okay, this is dated. Let's see, it began implement reorganization, so that's something else. But this is January 15, 2025. FDA to revoke authorization for the use of red number 3 in food and ingested drugs. The FDA is revoking the authorization for the use of FD and C red number 3 as a matter of law based on the Delaney clause of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. The FDA is amending its color additive regulations to no longer allow the use of FD and C red number 3 in food and ingested drugs in response to a 2022 color additive petition. Now, I can hit the hyperlink to go look at this petition, but let's read on. The petition requested the agency review whether the Delaney clause apply and cited, among other data and information, 2 studies that showed cancer in laboratory male rats exposed to high levels of FD&C red number 3 due to a rat specific hormonal mechanism. The way that the FD&C red number 3 causes cancer in male rats does not occur in humans. Relative exposure levels to FD&C red number 3 for humans are typically much lower than those that cause the effects shown in the male rats. It's crazy. And then we go further down. So what they trying to say is that they not putting it in the food because they see that it causes cancers. Well, hold on. Let me rephrase that. They're taking it out of the food not because they believe it will cause cancer in humans, only because they've seen that it caused cancer in rats. That's you got to watch how they word in this.
Yeah. Yep.
The Delaney Clause enacted in 1960. All right, I'm back, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, everybody want to call for some reason, but again, the reason I pull this is really just to show everybody. So, like, that conversation that we was talking about having with people and how hard it is, and then it's like, okay, well, let's look at this. Look at this information. Look at this evidence. Because the argument that I got was, well, it's banned in other countries too. Are you trying to say there's a conspiracy behind that? All I'm saying is that somehow, some way, this this product was allowed to be placed in our food, even possibly knowing uh, the effects that it could have on the human body, but they still allowed it. And Robert Kennedy, he came to he's been fighting against this for years, and all people has been saying is that he's a conspiracy theorist. He's a conspiracy theorist. But then,
Well, let me
uh,
cut in for a second because
go
I
ahead.
wanted to. I want to make a point with what you just said. With what you just stated. Any person that speaks out against the agenda, whether it's in the news, whether they're on a guest on some podcast, or some if they're being interviewed by journalists, if they speak out against the agenda specifically, then they will be lauded as a conspiracy theorist,
Hmm.
and they'll be illegitimized. They won't be taken seriously, and it, it's insane. It's crazy, and this is why we as believers are going to be ostracized, because when we talk about these things, we're going to be called conspiracy theorists. And again, that's a common liberal that's a common liberal attack.
That's another topic that I'm going to talk about next week. Liberalism. Uh, excuse me. We hear these terms being thrown around, especially in the political realm, but do we actually understand what that word means? Um, and there's a spot where I talk about how Michael Savage in his book, and where, let me see something real quick because I just here it is. Because I just don't be talking, bro. Like I actually read, you know what I'm saying? This is Michael Savage, Scorched Earth. Can a nation recover from Obama's scorched earth policies? It's an older book, but it's very interesting because uh like some of the stuff that Hillary Clinton did, there's a section in his book where it's called guilt hold on, let me make sure I get it right. Because I had it highlighted. Oh yeah. Let's see. I'll read one section of it. Nope, not the one I'm looking for. Here we go. All right. Now he's talking about subversive groups, right? Now they don't call Michael Savage a conspiracy theorist, but what he points out are subversive groups. And subversive groups are those groups that uh well let me read it here. All right. If being subversive means going against the wishes of the taxpayers, what do the taxpayers want? Does the average taxpayer want more immigrants or fewer immigrants? You know the answer. Most want no immigrants. You have groups that are working around the clock to bring in floods upon floods of immigrants, a virtual tsunami, and in hold on, an indigestible amount of number of refugees, immigrants, whatever you want to call them, especially from third world nations that hate us. So the question is like, why would you want to bring people from other countries to our country that hate us? And if there's no conspiracy behind that plan, then what is it? Because it doesn't make any sense. It
Well, it's
doesn't
all
make
in the name of democracy. You know, when you hear these politicians talk about democracy, we do things in the name of democracy. Understand what that buzzword means. Like
right.
diversity. Diversity is another buzzword that liberals like to throw around. We have to be diverse. We have to provide balance. You know, and so it's stupid. You let's look at what liberalism has done. It's deconstruct. It's called, the word is called deconstruction or deconstructionism, which means that you have a word that used to mean something,
Hmm.
now it means something else. Like, for instance, bad meant bad 30 or
Right.
40, 50 years ago. Now it means good. Oh, he a bad dude. Well, it means he's a good dude, you
Okay,
know?
I got you. Yeah.
So that's what, and look at diversity. Diversity meant back in the back, I guess 60 years ago, it meant, multiculturalism, white, black, all coming together. Now, diversity means accepting the LGBT agenda.
Exactly. Yeah. You got a point there. You got a point there.
So, and then you have the word that I used was, you know, uh, I forget the word that I just used. I just used it. But, those words that liberals like to point at, that like to throw around, understand what democracy.
Democracy. Yeah.
Democracy meaning globalism, accepting when they start opening up their borders, all in the name of democracy, because after all, our, our, you know, our immigrants were our forefathers, quote unquote, were immigrants. So since our forefathers were immigrants, then we've got to accept other immigrants into our country, whether they're illegal or not. Well, why are they doing that? Because they're trying to break down the walls of the country. They're trying to break our walls down
So
so they
so
can so they can weaken our defenses to start a global, start globalism.
so what it sounds like, and based off of what I've been studying, is like situations like this. So a subversive group that Michael Savage pointed out is the ACLU, which I guess you can say was a liberal a political group. Let me finish reading what he says here, because like I said, this was right before he wrote this right before the first election of Donald Trump. And so he was pointing out that there's subversive groups that are out here trying to bring in a flood and tsunami of immigrants into the country from countries that hate us. And then he keeps going and says that these low, unscrupulous organizations are bringing in people who will never ever integrate into the society, who will spend their every waking minute hating the society. Many of them will go off like rockets. Those groups will be at the top of my list. So he was talking about, and let me unshare this one real quick. Stop screen sharing. And if you got your kids in the house, or they should be in school right now. So um let's go to YouTube and see. Now, again, he wrote this before this election. He wrote this before the first Donald Trump election. And so he made a prediction that something like that was going to happen. It happened under the Biden administration. And he says they will come here and not integrate, meaning they don't care about our culture, they don't care about the American flag, they don't care about American culture. uh Not saying all of them, but what I'm saying is the criminal elements they got here. uh i'm gonna show you I'm gonna show you what they have, what we can expect if this is gone unchecked. Let's see, lady uh in subway. Yeah, here it is. So I'm gonna pull this up for y'all. Uh, I'm getting it. I'm getting it.
Yo, sorry to his family. This is a person right here. Oh, oh, bro. Yo. Yo, sorry to his family. This is a person right here. Oh, oh, bro.
Enough of that. So this is the stuff that he was saying that was going to happen. But the problem is, are the groups like the ACLU and these other subversive groups that want this type of stuff to happen, it seems like. Is there some type of conspiracy uh with that? Is there a conspiracy with I think it is. And like you said, David, um they have these subversive groups that refer to themselves nations without borders, that are funded by people like George Soros. Like next week I'm gonna be talking about him too. uh George Soros. And it all goes back to these people who identify as being liberals. Are you there, bro?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. George Soros. Um, you have Henry Kissinger. Um, you have all of these guys that openly stated that this is what their plan was, and they're using politicians to get it to get this agenda through. Like for instance, Henry Kissinger said of this of Obama that he was the perfect candidate to have for the new world order to be realized. I'm paraphrasing, but
No, I remember that.
yeah,
I'm looking it up now. To run New World.
I'm pretty sure you've heard of the Manchurian candidate. That's what Henry Kissinger literally stated of Obama.
Yep. I'm trying to find it. Because I actually saw the video where he said Obama was primed to run the New World Order. And that takes me into a whole nother. Nope, I ain't trying to. My bad. I'm trying to find it, but that takes me into a whole nother area of conspiracy theories, right? You remember everybody was saying that Obama was the Antichrist?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Even though I don't necessarily believe that, but they were saying that Obama was the Antichrist. You had a lot of Christian commentators that were doing YouTube videos about this, saying, and then playing the clip that you were looking for of Henry Kissinger stating what I just stated that he said of Obama. And, I just think that we need to look at these things a little bit more closely and examine them for what they are instead of just, you know, not, just throwing them away as, just useless conspiracy theories.
Yeah. I think and now when we talk about the conspiratorial view of history, right? And then we get into uh the many mechanisms or the subcomponents of conspiracy theories. I think there is an area to where people can go that can be, you know, that can be dangerous and I don't know what else to say about it, but that you have the rabbit hole and then you have the rabbit hole. And the conspiracy theories that center around trying to identify who the Antichrist is, and then pointing their fingers like at people like Obama. I had somebody tell me George Bush was the Antichrist at one time, and then somebody told me that Ronald Reagan was the Antichrist at one time. I think it's those conspiracy theories, those type of conspiracy theories that are unproductive. What's your take on that?
Well, yeah, I agree. I had relatives of mine even go as far as to saying that Donald Trump was the Antichrist, or he was that spirit of Antichrist. And it's all of these views are unfounded, especially when you're looking at some of the things that um, Donald Trump has done, even during his first presidency. It's just, I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So yeah, I was trying to find uh matter of fact, let me pull up the advanced Bible search and just demonstrate why and like how Christians can avoid going too far into the rabbit hole. And that's really by sticking to what your Bible says. Because you can get into all these conspiracy theories that will have you looking real crazy. Like, I think somebody went as far and took Obama's name and and went back, I guess, to the Hebrew or the Arabic.
Yeah, I remember somebody doing that.
Yeah, and so apparently it was supposed to I think it means to fall or something like that. I'll look it up later, but yeah, they was
They ended up spelling his name phonetically, like you see in the Bible, like Barak. They believe that he was a symbol of the Barak that you saw in Judges 19.
right. So I'm gonna pull up one of our favorite scriptures here. All right. Let's see. Share screen. Let me know if you see it, my brother.
Yep.
All right. So he says here, this is Second Thessalonians chapter 2. Now we beseech you, brother, by the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him, that you do not be soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit or by word, nor by letter from us, as that day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. So it's like, then you go to and within the Christian uh I guess you could say Christian philosophy or theology, we associate this man of sin to be him of being identified as the Antichrist. And so when you go to Revelation, I'm gonna go to Revelation and you go to chapter 13, and let's go down to here. We're talking about the first beast and all that. And then it says right here, 13:16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, or number of a man, and his number is 603 score and six. All right, why did I pull that up? Because just like uh it says here that it's the number of a man, is his number is three score and 666. You had people out there, bro, taking taking presidents' names and like Napoleon and all these other people, and taking their names and doing like what you will call like an alphabetic a numerological calculation on the person's name. And if that person's name came out calculated to be 666, then um that person was a likely candidate to be the Antichrist. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, plenty of times. Um, it's becoming a thing, especially people that look at the Bible from a numerological perspective, when they read certain passages of scripture, they'll start putting them in threes, like, or they'll use, like, say, for instance, number 7 is the number of completion, number 8 is the number of perfection, um, and number 6 is supposed to be the number of imperfection, I think. That's why we get the words, the letter 6, the number 666, referring to the Antichrist or the devil. But they'll associate all of that with, certain politicians. Certain politicians will say certain things, and then they'll start going all the way down the rabbit hole. And it's like, yeah, I don't know if it means that. But it all comes from a misunderstanding of the text that you just read, who is the Antichrist. Now, granted, the Antichrist is going to be a political figure.
Mm-hmm.
We read this in Daniel chapter 9. I'm sorry, Daniel chapter 11, 24, and then verse 20, and then verse 27.
I can
You
pull
know,
it. Let me go. You want me to pull it? I'll pull it.
yeah, go ahead.
You said Daniel.
And he's also referred to as the little horn.
You
He's
said
also referred to as one of the members of the the first member of the horsemen in Daniel in Revelation chapter 6. He's the person on the white horse.
yeah, that's Revelation 6. So
Yeah, Revelation 6.
which one you want, Daniel or you want Revelation?
Daniel chapter 11, verse 24.
Verse 24. Okay, I'll pull it up real quick. Okay, verse 24. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And it says that he shall enter peaceably even upon the fattest places of the province, and he shall do what? He should do that which his fathers have not done, nor his fathers' fathers. He shall scatter among them the prey and spoil and riches. Yea, he shall forecast his devices against the strongholds, even for a time.
So there you
And so,
have it.
right here, where he talks about he shall enter in peaceably. So let's go to Revelation. Revelation, because you did bring up the rider of the white horse, and that's important because here it is, back to chapter 6. All right, so Revelation chapter 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. So if anybody understand color symbolism in the Bible, white can sometimes symbolize false peace, and I'll show you, or false righteousness, and I'll show you in Matthew 23 and how he is going off on. Here we go. So I'm gonna start from verse 24. Ye blind guides, which strain at a net and swallow a camel. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you make clean the outside of the cup of the platter, but within they are full of extortion and excess. You, blind Pharisees, cleanse first that which is within the cup and platter, that the outside may be clean also. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whited sepulchres. You see it right here? Whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanliness. So white can sometimes represent false righteousness, which we see in Revelation 6. Whoever this rider on the white horse is someone who is bringing in some type of false peace or false righteousness. And when we talk about the conspirative view of history, for us as Christians who understand that there is a conspirative view, we associate this antichrist person with these characteristics who will bring in this satanic or Luciferian government that the secular world would refer to as a new world order. What's your take, bro?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is what Aleister Crowley's dream was to, and then you have other prominent occultists that pretty much said the same thing. They want to start a new world order, and of course, the lie that they were perpetrating, just like now, is that it's going to bring peace. It's going to bring uh, enlightenment to mankind, and this is what Luciferians believe. They believe that since Lucifer was given a broad deal, and I'm segueing to this because I want to make a point. Lucifer, they believe that Lucifer was given a raw deal, so as a result, he is not the bad God. Adonai, or the God is. God is. The God of the Bible is the bad God because he's trying to keep us from knowledge, from enlightenment. And so
Right,
these New
right.
Agers teach the same thing. So they believe in globalism. They believe in a new world order. And a lot of these politicians like Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama said this on Jay Leno's, well, I think not Jay Leno, it was probably on Conan O'Brien one night where he said that he wanted to see it, it's going to give way to the type of new world order that people would like to see. You have George H.W. Bush saying in his presidential address or his State of the Union address that he was going to start a new world order. So you never heard Trump say anything like that at all.
No.
Why?
Mm-mm. Well, they say, they say he ain't part of the clique.
No.
You know what I'm saying? And I, I'm sorry, I can agree because they tried to kill my man's. They tried to kill him.
Twice.
Yeah, so it's like you telling me you don't think that there's some type of conspiracy uh out here, but the conspirative view again of history is looking back on the things that have happened. And I think we done I think within the last 5 years, conspiracy theorists have been vilified, not vilified, but what you call it, David? Help me with that word. Have been uh
Uh, um, well, say that again. I'm sorry.
you know how when somebody say you've been wrong about something and then they at the end in reality you was right.
Oh,
Is
you were, well, I think, I can't remember.
exonerated or
Yeah, you
something
were
like that.
exonerated or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so many of the conspiracy theories that we all thought were just theories have been proven to be conspiracy facts. And so the question I had put out was, you know, uh is there if there is a conspiracy or if there was a conspiracy theory that guided the history they guided our history I'll say particularly American history, is that same conspiracy at work today? I believe it is. I
And so
believe
do
it
I.
is.
I am a staunch believer in that fact. The only reason why a lot of people have been closed off to this information is simply because it's not in the history books anymore. The history of the Democratic Party, that's not in the history books because they took it out. The
Oh,
history of, the history of communism, and what communism actually did. Well, it's not in a lot of your history books. You would have to actually hunt for it if you want to go to the library or something like that. But again, a lot of the elite, the shadow, the people that are behind all of this wanted to erase history because there's truth in it, and they want to keep the average uh, Joe from understanding what's actually at work. And
Mm,
so as a result, you have the liberal media calling you a conspiracy theorist, when a person like Alex Jones or a person like Ben Shapiro or a person like Dinesh D'Souza and all of these conservatives, were to get on national television and talk about these things, they're lauded as conspiracy theorists and they're not taken seriously. And notice that this is done on purpose. This is done intentionally to sway the
right,
minds of the people watching, listening. That's
right.
the purpose of the liberal media, to sway public opinion. So
So
if I just let me just make
oh,
this last point, and then
I'm
you can.
sorry, bro.
But
Go ahead.
yeah, go ahead. But if I tell that's the thing, you have to sway the public to thinking one way. It's called groupthink. When
Group
I'm
think.
thinking one way, like for instance, you've got a culture that believes in wearing sneakers. Well, all it takes is just one person. That's all it takes is just one person to spread a lie or to spread a half truth, and everybody else will start believing it because nobody wants to stick out like a sore thumb.
Exactly, bro. It's like misinformation. That's why I said in my earlier introduction, like we are being attacked on all sides. I've shown you how red dye has been taken out of or banned out of the foods. I've shown you how there are subversive groups like the ACLU that Michael Savage talks about. Um, David has you've provided, what I'm saying, insight as to George Bush's uh, uh George Bush's senior, who is now, dead, rest in peace, um, who had an agenda to forge a new world order. Henry Kissinger said that Obama was ready or prime to run a new world order. And I think at the end of the day, that's their agenda, a new world order. But this new world order is not the world order that I think a lot of people are thinking about, like where it's just open borders all around the world. Everybody's holding hands and running up the hill in the sunshine. I know it sounds good, but that's not what it's going to be. What the new world order is going to be is a satanic government. It's going to be a satanic government set up by Luciferians who have one agenda, and that is to eradicate all other religions, all other governments, and take over the entire world, um under the Luciferian umbrella.
I want to chime in on what you just said. You stated that it was, this new world order is going to eliminate all religions. Well,
Mm-mm.
the only religion that the new world order is going to eliminate is Christianity, because Christianity is an affront to what the devil's plan is. But what I'm going to say, however, is all of the other religions like Buddhism, Hinduism, all of the Eastern religious religions, and including New Age, which is kind of like an amalgam. It's kind of like a modernization of all Eastern thought, Eastern mysticism. All of the New World Order's plan is to synchronize them. That's the so-called ecumenicism, is to include all of these religions because after all, they're all the same. They're perennial philosophy. They're all the same. They all lead to the same road. So since they all lead to the same road, well, we can amalgamate these religions under one person, the Antichrist.
Right.
or the false
So
prophet, I should say.
so like in in our discussions when we talk about Bible prophecy, and then we and looking at the things going on in the world, especially with this topic uh, of a new world order, which is secretly being established even as we speak. We probably already really have one right now, like uh the people behind the government. But what we understand from the
They're in
scriptures,
place. They're in
yeah,
place.
yeah, but what we understand from the scriptures is that yes, at some point in time, there's supposed to be a a consolidation of all religions under one banner. Uh, I remember one time we was looking at your boy, I forgot his name, trying to start Chrislam, trying to mix Christianity and Islam together.
Rick Warren.
Rick Warren, yes, yes. He did that, but yes, there's and even the Pope now is trying to they done had several conferences and trying to unite Christianity with all these other religions. And so I brought this up because while you was talking, that just popped in my head. Mystery Babylon. Where is Mystery Babylon? Let me go. I know it's in Revelation.
17.
Revelation 17. All right.
Start at verse 1.
Man, you gonna make me read the whole thing now. Let me stop.
Well, you
All
don't
right,
have
I
to read
guess.
the whole thing. You can read up to verse 4 or
All
verse
right,
17.
17, right? 17, right?
Yeah, 17, 17. Well,
All
read
right.
the whole. I would read all the way up to the verse 17.
All right, I'll read all the way up to verse 17. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because, like you said, within this whole New World Order, there's supposed to be a consolidation of all religions because it's supposed to symbolize this peace. And it's really this false peace because but in any case, let me read. This is Revelations chapter 17. And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials and talked with me, saying and saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sits upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away into the spirit, into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and fine scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of the abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell upon the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And here is the mind which has understanding. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, one is, and one is yet to come. And when he comes, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is of the 7th and goes into perdition. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power and as kings 1 hour with the beast. Here it is. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. And these shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, For he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called the chosen and faithful. And he said to me, the waters which you saw where the horse sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. And the 10 horns which you saw upon the beast, these will hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For God has put in their hearts to fulfill his will and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast until the words of God shall be fulfilled. And the woman which you saw is that great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. Okay, bro, you had me read that whole thing, but I'm glad you did. Just to put it into perspective of what you were saying earlier. So the combination of these religions that will come together in the end times is theorized to be represented here by the woman. Uh and but as we see here in this chapter, she makes she's drunk first of all with the blood of the saints. So now we're looking at a particular religious system that is hostile to the true worship of Jesus Christ, because no Christian, no true Christian will compromise their faith just to make other people feel good. uh because we understand as Christians that there's no other way to the Father, there's no other way to get into heaven, there's no other way to be saved except through Jesus Christ. And so with that being said, these other religions are not going to like that. And so of course, Christians, those who follow Jesus Christ, will be targeted. And as we can see in this chapter, they will be killed. But look, like you said earlier again, David, the beast is a political system, and a political person comes out of this system. The woman, the woman is riding this beast. If the woman is synonymous to the religious system and the beast to the political system, then that means that the political system, as we read, is going to destroy the the religious system. And how can we back that up, Dave? I'm gonna show you in chapter 6. Chapter 6. No, I'm sorry, chapter 13. Let's go back to 13. So remember,
Read.
he's
Oh, sorry.
go ahead and say it.
I'm not gonna do it. I can't.
Read the book.
I'm not
All
gonna do it.
right, so let's go into Revelation 13 just to kind of make sense of what's going on. So the first 3 verses, he sees a beast rise up out of the sea. And I stood upon the sand of the sea. I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads, 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the names of blasphemy. Okay. And so this was the beast that came out of the sea. So what about the beast that comes up out of the earth? Because remember, there are two beasts that come up out of that show up at the end times. Let's see. This is Revelation chapter 13, verses 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and he causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And I'm gonna stop there. So that means that whoever this person who appears to look like a lamb, but he's speaking as a dragon, lines him up as a false prophet. And so this false prophet somehow is responsible for bringing all these religions together, but then at the end he's going to have this religious system destroyed so that he can divert the worship to who? To the first beast. Let's continue. So he exercised, I'm right here, and he exercised all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell upon the earth to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So, David, you want to interject on something real quick before, because I can go on and on.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. The Antichrist is going to uh, he's going to pretty much be the leader of all of this world, this system, and but the woman is going to devour the beast.
No, no,
And
the
so
the beast,
I
the
mean,
beast,
I
yeah,
mean,
the beast devours the
it's going to
woman.
the woman, right? Uh, and so now everything is under. You notice that a lot of these religions are claiming to be Christian now. If you notice that,
Well, it's only
you
one
know,
way
and I've noticed.
it's one way to test them out, and those three questions or three or four questions. Is Jesus the only way? Was he born? Was he born of the Virgin Mary? Uh, uh, did he die on the cross for our sins? Did he rise from the dead? We can ask those questions, and if they come with any other answer, then we know that nah, you can't be a Christian if that's not what you believe, because we believe all three of those things. But pretty much what I was just getting at was, again, the this conspiratorial view of history, the people involved, and how for us as Christians who understand the conspiratorial view, how we can link what prophecy says about this last kingdom that will stand. Matter of fact, let me go to Daniel. I said I would do a little bit more Bible reading in these little discussions. Uh Old
Well,
Testament.
yeah, so people can have an idea of what you're talking about, so you're not just so they don't think you're just talking.
Right. So, okay, let's see. Daniel 2 went to around, let's see. Said thou sawest till the stone was cut away. Okay. Fourth kingdom. Let's see, thou king. This is the dream. Okay, so all right, so just to give y'all some background, uh hey David, give me if you don't mind, can you read that real quick? Let me
Uh,
hop. I need to take care of something real quick.
where do you want me to start?
Uh well, hold on. Don't good. We good. We good.
Okay.
We good. My bad. All right. So just to give a little background to Daniel. So Daniel is alive during he's alive during the time of uh the Babylonians, and I think this is around fifth and fourth century, 405 to 400 years before Jesus Christ, right? So
Right.
Babylon takes Judah back to Babylon. It removes Israel out of the land of Israel, and Daniel finds himself as a prisoner there, but he's been chosen to be one of the wise men because basically he's a prophet. And so the king uses him, well, not at this point in time, but when Nebuchadnezzar had this dream. Nebuchadnezzar was the Babylonian king, and when he had this dream, he had a dream of,
Daniel chapter 2.
yes. So he had this dream that he saw a very large statue, and it was a very large statue, and I could show it to y'all. Let me show it to y'all so y'all won't think I'm crazy. Uh see, I'm gonna just put in Nebuchadnezzar's vision or dream. Try to try to stay away from the Jehovah Witness images.
Oh, say that again.
Nah, say I'm trying to stay away from the Jehovah Witnesses
Oh, they got they're
website.
chasing
Yeah.
after you. Is that what that is?
Nah. All right, so here we go. All right, let me go and grab this real quick. Let's see. We got an hour and 16 into this. Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna show this to y'all real quick. So and explaining. Where did it go? Is this it? Nope, I got the wrong one. Stop share. Present. I I grabbed the wrong one, bro. My bad. Let's see. Nebuchadnezzar. There we go. Share that. Can you see that, my friend? Can you see that, my friend? I don't want to create no password. All right, let me know if you can see it or not.
Yes, loading.
Oh, it's loading. Okay.
Oh, there it is.
All right. So, as we were stating, Daniel was a prisoner of Nebuchadnezzar's. He was a prisoner during Nebuchadnezzar's time, and he had this dream of this vision right here. He saw this statue, head of gold, arms and chest of silver, uh, belly and thighs of brass, legs of iron, and feet made of iron and clay. And all of these were to represent uh, the kingdoms of Babylon. The kingdom that followed was Persia. After Persia, then the Greeks came in, then the Romans. And then the last kingdom that is supposed to stand is supposed to be made up of iron and clay. Now, I'm going to go to the scripture. Stop that. And then I'm going to grab the Bible for y'all so we can read the book. All right, so Daniel chapter 2, verse 35. And this is what he says: thou king sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. You saw till that a stone was cut out with hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them into pieces. Then was the iron, the clay. Uh, hey, David, you got a lot of background noise, my friend.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry about that. All right. Verse 35. Then was the iron and the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken into pieces together and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. So I'm gonna stop there. So basically, this last kingdom is supposed to be made up of iron and clay. And if you talk to students of prophecy, they would tell you that the iron legs represent Rome, which it does. But the feet, which are made of iron and clay, are made up of a revived Roman Empire, but in a weakened state. Something you want to say, David?
no, go ahead.
Okay. And so we're gonna continue. Let me continue reading. This is the dream. And see, thou, O king, art the king of kings, for the God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, and strength and glory. And whosoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of heaven, has he given into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. You are the head of gold. And after you shall rise another kingdom inferior to you, another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over the earth. That's the Greeks. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. That's the Romans. For as much as iron breaks in pieces and subdue all things, and as iron that breaks all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. He continues, verse 41. And whereas you saw the feet and toes part of potter's clay and the part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there should be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as you saw the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes and the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So I ain't gonna get into that part, but basically it's represent. So we know that the Babylonians have came. We know that the Persians have came. We know that the Greeks, the Romans have come. The Roman Empire went extinct, what, probably around the third, fourth century, fifth century BC. And then we had the rise of Islam. I believe that plays another part into it. But when we looking at the prophecy itself, and you looking at what Daniel saw as far as the last kingdom is concerned, this last kingdom has not stood up yet. And I think that's the point that we're trying to make here. This last kingdom, and it's a worldly kingdom that has not been set up yet. Uh Daniel, Daniel. Let's go back to, there's another one I wanted to touch on. Okay. So you went you we read Daniel 11 earlier. I want to make one more connection about this last kingdom. Now remember, you got feet made of iron and clay. On You got five toes on each foot that equate to 10. So the 10 toes also 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 can be linked together with the 10 horns that we read about in the book of Revelation. But let's go a little further. Let's see. In the saints of the most high, these great beasts, you see, Daniel was grieved in my spirit. Let's see. You have dominion, and I saw in the night vision, Son of Man, Ancient of Days. Uh okay. Here we go. Let me just go from verse 1, I think, down to verse 7. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And the four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, it had eagle's wings. Uh, it had eagle's wings. Did I go back to the scripture? Oh yeah, I got it. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Uh I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth and made to stand on his feet like a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in its mouth. Uh in the mouth of it between its teeth, and they said thus unto it, rise and devour much flesh. And this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which upon the back of it four wings and a fowl. And the beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, here we go, the fourth beast. This is what I'm talking about. And behold, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces, some of the same language we saw in chapter 2, and stamped the residue with the feet thereof, and it was diverse from all the beasts that was before it, and it had 10 horns. Remember, David? You remember that in Revelations?
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about this same final government that's going to rise up. And uh he said, I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three, and the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in his horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and it spoke, and a mouth speaking great things. So all of this, like Daniel chapter 2, chapter 7, Revelations 17, Revelation 13. When we look at all the information given, we see that there's a final government that will rise. But I ask the listeners or whoever sees this, which type of government is going to rise? What's going to happen to the government, to our government? What's going to happen to the governments of the world? uh God's word is not going to come back empty. And so that means that either a new government is going to rise that will be hostile to Jesus Christ, or and it's going to rise and it's going to live harmoniously with the Christian faith, or and other religions and other governments, or it's going to be, here we go, let's go back to the conspiratorial view, it's going to be totalitarian. It's going to be an oligarchy. it's it's going to be a communistic style government with a dictator. And again, from our perspective, whoever the dictator will be of this new world order will most definitely, from my opinion, be the Antichrist. Go ahead, David. I think you.
What? Well, yeah, I'm in much in agreement with that. Um, and this is why they're pushing this globalist agenda. They're trying to destroy America as the world's main superpower, and and this is why they're trying to, you know, they're pushing this immigration policy, because they want this one world government. They want this one world government, and I believe that. I think that you're absolutely right. You're on to something.
Yeah, yeah. I wish Julius would have been here, bro, because it would have been a nice little conversation. We at the 1:30 mark. Um, what else we got for him, man? Like, uh, let's see. Hold on. Let me look at my notes. Maybe I can pull something from my notes. Try to make this worthwhile. You know what I'm saying? Uh, excuse me. Oh yeah, the military industrial complex. What
Well,
should take? Do you know?
well,
Do you know any? Go ahead.
well, it's. I know Eisenhower warned of it back in the 50s. I think it was in 1953 when Dwight Eisenhower warned of this military industrial complex, and it's kind of interesting. But I'm sort of kind of not a not a, I don't really know too much about it, so I'm pretty sure you could educate us on what it is.
Well, honestly, I'm not a scholar when it comes to, what I'm saying, that type of stuff. I know that I've experienced it, but let's look this up. I'll pull this. Uh where is it at? And let's listen to the man himself.
You know that some of the biggest market gains don't happen during the day, but they actually
Skip.
happen overnight. So what if we could target
our military establishment? Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action. In keeping the peace is our military establishment. A vital element in keeping the peace is our military establishment. Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action, so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction. Our military organization today bears little relation to that known of any of the fighting men of World War II or Korea. Until the latest of our world conflicts, the United States had no armaments industry. American makers of plowshares could, with time and as required, make swords as well. But we can no longer risk emergency improvisation of national defense. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. Added to this, 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. We annually spend on military security alone more than the net income of all United States corporations. Now, this conjunction of an immense military establishment and a large arms industry is new in the American experience. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. Our toil, resources, and livelihood are all involved. So is the very structure of our society. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes. We should take nothing for granted. Only an alert and knowledgeable citizenry can compel the proper meshing of the huge industrial and military machinery of defense with our peaceful methods and goals, so that security and liberty may prosper together.
So this was a dire warning against the military-industrial complex, but does this really answer the question as to what is the military-industrial complex?
I think he answered this. I think he answered the question indirectly, but nonetheless, he answered it. I think he's talking about the government. I think he's
what he's talking about is private industries.
Yeah, or
private industries that have their private industries that get paid to make military weapons.
Yeah,
or to, or to do anything dealing with the military, like private contractors.
Well, yeah, he's talking about business. All of these private industries building weapons of mass destruction. I guess you might want to call it that. And
All right.
he's afraid that we cannot allow them to do that to affect our democracy. Now, again, like I told you in the beginning of this conversation, you got to be aware of what this word actually means, because our country is not a democracy; it's a republic. But I get what he's trying to infer. He's trying to say. He's trying to get across the idea that we cannot have these private industries infringe on our individual freedoms. And not only that, but he does not. He's warning us that the military industrial complex will invade our country and take over the military.
Yeah. Now I'll go into my experience in dealing with this, but I got it pulled up here on the Britannica website, right? Military industrial complex. Let's see. Military industrial complex. Hey, if you can mute your phone real quick, if you don't mind, because that I can hear your bus drivers. But again, military industrial complex, network of individuals, keyword there, individuals and institutions involved in the production of weapons and military technologies. The military industrial complex in a country typically attempts to marshal political support for continued and increased military spending by the national government. That is what he was warning against, because instead of going to war for real issues, for real purposes, we go to war on a regular basis to make the military industrial complex pockets fatter. And I saw a slight example of that when I was in Iraq. I'll go into a lot more details about that later, but like in the next show. But um what I did see pretty much, let me get off of this. Y'all can go and look that up for yourselves if you want. Military industrial complex. And the military industrial complex plays uh uh there we go. The military industrial complex plays a vital role in the conspiratorial view of history because the conspirators are part of that small oligarchy of men and women that are uh, uh, focused on bringing in this new world order. And one way to help facilitate the rise of a new world order is to use wars. I'll be talking about that later. But again, when I was in Iraq, here I am, a E4, well, I was actually E3 at the time, probably making about 25, maybe a little more, like between 25 to $3,500 a month while I was over there with the hazardous pay and all that. And every day, well, every day wasn't a busy day for the most part, but there were times where we would go to Iraq, back and forth from Kuwait to Iraq, and we had to strap up. But when we got to Kuwait in Tent City, it was a gym that was set up, and the gym, there was a CQ desk, of course, but it was a civilian sitting there, and this civilian, I knew him from school back in high school, Suitland High School, when I was living back in Maryland. And so I asked him, he was like, "Yeah, I know you, bro. Da, 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 we won't." And I was like, "Well, how?" Because I'm trying to figure out, how did he get over in Iraq, but he's not a soldier. He's dressed in civilians. He's out of shape, and he doesn't look like he's here doing any manual labor. He's just taking names. And so he tells me, he says, "Yeah, I'm doing contracting." I said, "Contracting? I ain't never heard of that." He was like, "Yeah." I said, "How much you making?" He's like, "Well, you know, I'm bringing in probably about 10,000 a month." What? 10,000 a month? Now remember, I just said that I'm making roughly about 25, between 25 to $3,500 a month. I'm walking around with a M16, a bayonet, in this hot uniform, drinking water to, like, man, but I'm making 25 to $3,500 a month, while this man is making 10,000 a month. So what was going on? Pretty much, he was a contractor. He was on contract with a job that brought civilians in. The more civilians they brought in, the more funding and money they got to produce these soldiers, not soldiers, these civilians. And another thing was that they was providing plates, spoons, and all kinds of stuff, and KP, kitchen help, all that. But one of my sergeants asked the question. Well, he said something to me. He was like, "Hawkins, don't you think it's odd that they are paying people this amount of money to come over here and do the work that we can do? Like, we got soldiers that know how to cook. We got cooks in the military. We got supply sergeants that can go and get these supplies from where they need to, and so many other things. You get a private to do security, you know. So that is where I first experienced a hint of the military industrial complex, and uh it made me think as to, okay, if they would do this, what else would they do? What else would they do? What other contracting jobs do they have? And then I started to find out that we got contractors involved with the oil, the precious metals, contractors in security. There was David, have you ever heard of, not Black Hawk, but
Mhm.
Mic check, mic check.
Yep, I can hear you. We may have to cut this a little short because my battery is kind of running low.
Oh yeah.
Maybe about 20 minutes we can, and then.
Oh yeah, I'm coming up on the threshold anyway.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there was a group. It wasn't called Black Hawk. It was called Blackwater. And so
Yeah, I heard of that.
yeah, so it's like we got contractors doing security jobs. And I mean, these guys was out there literally shooting, killing folk. But they weren't part of the military. So that was it. That was an issue for me. And again, in the next show, you'll see where I go into, how Mr. Savage here, Mr. Dr. Savage, y'all ought to look him up, man, when y'all get a chance. He be talking on some real stuff. He the one who introduced me, David, to the whole term of being a liberal. He the one who stated that liberalism to him is a what you would call it, is a mental disorder. What
Well, it
you think?
was in the DSM before the 70s, before around the 1970s. But the word liberalism has a lot of meanings to it. You can divide it into two groups. You have classical liberalism, and you have far left liberalism. What we're experiencing, what we're seeing now in government, especially with the Democrats. Now, classic liberalism does not, and I repeat, they do not look at the state as, they don't believe in big government. They believe in individual freedoms. Now you may disagree with them in terms of a lot of the moral issues like abortion and gay marriage and all of that, but they're not like the far leftist. I believe the classic liberalism went out in the 90s when Bill Clinton was president. And that's why, President Reagan, you had a lot, when President Reagan was in office, you had a lot of bipartisanship because of what is called classic liberalism. But that's dead. We don't have that in Washington anymore. We have either you're far left or far right.
Okay. So look, I got Michael Savage, right? I'm gonna pull it up, and we're gonna listen to him for a little bit, for about 2 minutes, see what he got to say about liberalism. And let's see.
Your success with your job, you have a
groundbreaking book entitled
right.
Liberalism is a... Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Savage. Years ago, I wrote a groundbreaking book entitled Liberalism is a Mental Disorder. It was considered a joke at the time. Are you still laughing?
I ain't laughing. I ain't laughing.
Bums in the street taking their pants down and crapping outside windows in San Francisco, and Pelosi says nothing. Bums urinating in mailboxes in San Francisco, Pelosi says nothing. Gangs coming over the border, and Pelosi says they all come here to work. I've now written the book, Our Fight for America, The War Continues. Do you know why? Because the war hasn't even begun yet. Oh yeah, the other side has started the fight. They're burning cities, looting, beating people up, attacking police, and Pelosi says nothing. Biden, the hologram in the basement, says nothing. Today I did a program.
So look, remember, this is 4 years ago that when he posted this, and you recall during that time there were people like just randomly, like, I'm sorry, white people white people were being targeted, bro. Like, and then we had like what was it, Minnesota? We had the riots and all that was taking place. And that's what those are the situations that I'm talking about. Like, do you recall how they brought bricks to the city to help the rioters? Do you remember that, David?
Yep.
I'll pull that video up too, but let's finish listening to what he got to say.
On the very dangerous notion that President Trump is mentally ill and needs to be removed from office. Who introduced it? None other than Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi introduces this measure. Now, there are rumors floating that she's doing this not against Trump because it'll never get through both houses in the Senate. But she envisions Biden winning and then removing him under the 25th Amendment in a certain period of time and installing her stooge, her puppet, Kamala Harris, who is a product of the Pelosi machine here.
Bruh, this is what I be talking about. So he posted this 4 years ago. So really all you have to do is, if you pay attention to what's going on, you can see there's a conspiracy behind all this stuff. But there's a deeper conspiracy that I feel like that's taking place by the choices that these people are making. And look at what they did. They got rid of Biden. They put up Kamala Harris thinking that she was going to win. But the American people won't falling for that crap. Not this time.
Nope.
Not this time. And this was 4 years ago. And they did exactly
it's all
what
right through it.
Yeah, and they did exactly what they thought they did exactly what he thought they was gonna do. And they did it. So really, you know, there's some credible people out here that can see through all of this. And you know, I say to my Christian brothers and sisters, this should not be hard for us to understand and accept, because that's in our Bible. We see that there is going to be a final government, but it's going to be a Luciferian government. For those who are secular, who are who are unreligious, if you think that this government, and David, correct me if I'm wrong, because we're going to go ahead and wrap this up in a little bit, in about 5 minutes. If you think, and I'm talking to unbelievers out there, if you think that this government, this new world utopian, secular, new world order government is going to be a beautiful utopia for all of mankind, you are sadly mistaken. And there's so many layers behind this onion that I barely even touched a skim of what's taking place. But why is this so important? Is because you don't want to be caught up in this government, this final world government. You don't want to be caught up in it, because really all it's going to do is turn you into a slave. You're going to be a slave to the system, to the world system. It can't operate on its own. And that's if you survive the plan to depopulate the world. David, what was the Georgia? It was the Georgia Guidestones, right?
The Guidestones that said that they wanted to depopulate the world, and I think that the reason why they wanted to depopulate the world, and this is a new age concept.
So if I ever need to film guests, but we're literally on the other side of the planet.
Excited to be on the show, Jordan.
Riverside makes tackling this tough task.
A monument considered by some conservative Christians to be satanic was badly damaged by an explosive device. One of the 4 granite panels on the Georgia Guidestones monument was reduced to rubble. The attraction was built in 1980 from local granite and commissioned under the name RC Christian. The 19-foot-high panels bear a 10-part message in 8 languages with guidance for living an age of reason. The so-called American Stonehenge also serves as a sundial and astronomical calendar. The bombing is under investigation.
I haven't heard about what happened to that as of yet, but you heard what she said, the age of reasoning. Could you, before we go, give give us just a tad bit about what this age of reasoning is. Well, let's save that for the other show. Let's save that for the next show. But what I did want to finish with point out is that the Georgia Guidestones, I show that because on it had on there. Let's see, the Georgia Guidestone commandments. Let's see, New Georgia Encyclopedia.
They're called the 10 Commandments from Satan.
Yes. All right. So here they are, and then we're gonna end with this. If y'all don't think that they are secretly planning for a new world order, and if you think that even if they are, this new world order would be better than the world order that Jesus Christ is going to bring in, you got two things, or you got some things to think about. So the first commandment on this Georgia Guidestone was maintain humanity under what's that? 500,000? No, I'm sorry. That's 500 million. Maintain the world population under 500 million. There are at least 8 billion people on the planet today. How do you think they are going to decrease the world's population from 8 billion to 500 million? It will require war. It will require uh uh terrorist acts. It will require the slow well, I'm sorry, it will require the pharmaceuticals, because how many how many people are dying from uh the meds and the medicine that they giving us? How many people are dying from the foods that we eating? Like I said, we are being attacked on all sides.
But what
It's
about the
gonna
biological aspects of it? You know, biological
Yes.
warfare, like a lot of these
Yes.
super germs that are coming out, you know, like bird flu. Now, at first they said that bird flu wasn't transmittable from, uh, you know, animal to human because of its RNA transcriptions. But now they're saying that the first human that ever got bird flu was, I think, in New Hampshire somewhere. And it was just, I'm like, well, wait a minute, you just told us and us America, the American public, that this wasn't possible. Now you're saying that it is? And then you have all these others, you know, you have AIDS. You know, AIDS was supposed to be came out in the 80s and it was killing people left and right.
Yeah, like even the conspiracy with that, where they were saying that it was created in the lab, and
Yeah.
they had, and on top of that, they had Dr. Fauci associated with that.
Yeah, Fauci and a guy by the name of Robert Gallo, they were working together in the 60s to develop a retrovirus that was transmittable from, you know, it was found in monkeys. And sooner or later they developed it. They kind of manipulated the transcription, the RNA transcription, because that's how what viruses are composed of for the most part. And what they did was they manipulated its RNA transcription to try to kind of more or less affect human cells. And so around the mid 70s, around the mid to late 70s, you know, you had people dying, and people in New York City dying, in San Francisco, they were dying mysteriously from this mysterious form of cancer. 1980, it wasn't identified until 1981. And then in 1984, they classified it. They identified the cause of the virus known as HIV, which is supposed to be a retrovirus that affects a certain type of cell, you know, which is the white blood cell, white corpuscles. And then in 1986, they said, well, we'll come up with a vaccine to cure it or to treat it. Didn't happen. So this was purposely done.
So what I read a long time ago when I came across this information was that uh the AIDS virus was created in a laboratory. Then what they did was they found a group of people to test it on, which were homosexuals and homosexuals and drug addicts, heroin
Yep.
users. And
Uh-huh.
that's how it spread in that community the fastest. Like it was introduced to that community.
Yep.
That
Look at the
I would
name. It was called GRID. It was called, or GERD, gay relate. I think it's GRID, gay related immune deficiency.
and you know what's crazy about that, David, man? Like all the years after, what I'm saying, that happened, and you will have homosexual activists coming out or gay activists coming out saying that, oh, this is not a homosexual disease, it's not a gay disease and stuff like that. But then you go and look at the vaccines or the medicines that they've created today, and I'm talking about today, like in these days, right now. You see on TV, uh, medicine that will make the person less traceable or less contagiable, or whatever you call it, right? But in every single one of those commercials is always a gay person. And I said, bro, that's a slap in the face because y'all sat here and uh cried about, people pinning AIDS and HIV on homosexuals, but it's the majority of y'all who are in these commercials. And again, I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying, the hypocrisy that we see with that. But again, I don't think that was right for them to be targeted like that if they was targeted. And I really would like to do research on that to see how accurate that conspiracy is. Let me finish reading through these satanic commandments and then we can go ahead and shut down. So, maintain humanity under 500 million people. Guide reproduction wisely. See, slick words like this: guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Diversity, DIEDEI, whatever they call it. Unite humanity with a living new language. I don't know how that's going to happen unless it's digital, right? Rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things with tempered reason. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. But watch this. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world cup. Why is that important, Dave? What we just read in Daniel, what we just read in Revelation, is going to be a world government. A
Yeah.
world government. This is
Yep.
their objective.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Prize balance personal rights. Balance personal rights. How do you balance personal rights? Are they not already balanced? Do we not have the law that deters people from doing wrong? Or are they talking about uh
Taking
balancing
rights
personal?
away.
There you go. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. There you go. All right. Prize, truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. What is the infinite? This is clearly new age talk.
Yeah, this is New Age philosophy. The infinite can be anything. It can be the universe.
Here we go. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. Leave room for nature. So,
Environmentalist.
yes. Yep. So this is what they suggest. This right here, they'll keep humanity under 500 million. Everybody should be wondering why and how they would make that happen. So, um, let me go back to the Bible real quick, and we're gonna end it because I wanted to show you what Daniel states happens to this New World Order kingdom. Where is it at? We'll go to Daniel, chapter 2. Sorry, the king didn't secretly reveal the name by the night. Therefore, let's see. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find the exact spot. Stone. Okay. Let me go grab it. And I appreciate you hopping on here, Dave. I hate talking to myself sometimes. I said sometimes. I like talking to myself, but not a lot. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. All right. So after Daniel explained the image to Nebuchadnezzar, what he also did was explain what happened after that, because Nebuchadnezzar saw a stone and it hit the feet of this statue and it crumbled down. Says here, then was the iron and clay. Hold on. Thou saw till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them into pieces. Then was the iron and the clay and the brass and silver and the gold broken into pieces together, and became like a chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof. So he tells him all the things of what these images represent. But let's go back down to the stone. Verse 45, for as much as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break into pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, the gold, the great God has made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof is sure. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation of sweet odors unto him. And so, hold on, let me go back, because days of king kept set up kingdom. Okay, and in the days, let me go back to verse 44. Actually, 41. And whereas I saw the feet and the toes, part of the potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it a strength of iron, for as much as they saw the iron mixed with murky clay. And as the toes and the feet were part iron and part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas you saw iron mixed with the murky clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of the king of these kings, he's talking about this future kingdom. In the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. That kingdom, y'all, is the kingdom of Jesus Christ. And as Daniel said that this prophecy is certain, it is certain, because we saw the prophecies come to pass after Daniel had written this. Remember, Daniel wrote this during the Babylonian captivity. After the Babylonian captivity, he was still alive during the Persian captivity. uh that prophecy came true. Then the Greeks, you remember that movie? What was that movie? 300.
Yeah, 300.
The Greeks versus the Persians. Uh Artaxerxes didn't dress like that. He didn't look like that. But the fact of history is that that battle actually took place. But that was a fulfillment of Daniel's prophecy, one of them. And then we have the Greeks to come in after the Persians. And then from the Greeks, we have Alexander the Great, who did a lot of wonderful things, but he ended up dying. And then the kingdom went from him to four of his generals. And from there, we have the rise of Rome. And after Rome, there's no other world government like the Roman Empire, except some theorize that the Islamic Ottoman Empire may fit within that prophecy. That'll be another show I'll do. But the point is that this final government has not been set up yet. It has not been set up yet. And so when it comes, which we all believe that it will come soon, and is even at the door right now, like the possibilities of this taking place within our own lifetime is here. It is here. And so the question is, when it does arrive, when the new world order arrives, on what side of the fence you going to be on? Are you going to be with God, or are you going to be with the devil? Pretty much, because it's going to be a satanic government. And just as Daniel pointed out, once this government has risen, it's only going to be up for a short period of time, because the rock, who is Jesus Christ, when he comes in, he's going to set up his kingdom on earth, and it's going to be a kingdom that lasts forever and ever. And so with that being said, we go ahead and end it here, David. And I just want to again say thank you for joining me. Like I said, this is an open discussion, and I, as always enjoy it, bro.
Oh no, no problem. I've always enjoyed these topics, and I can't wait for next week when we do the part two.
Oh yeah, part two is going to be intense, because I'm really going to pull the receipts on this one. Yep.
All right, good show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I'll link up with DMG. I'll put this out. Shout out to DMG. I was kind of thrown off with the introduction, because usually there's like an introduction in this. But yeah, shout out to DMG. And again, appreciate you for allowing me to do this. Um, uh, like I said, I have scheduled part two, and there was a discussion that I was supposed to have with Captain 10K. You remember Captain 10K, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
So
debated them over the summer, or the end of the summer, really.
yeah. So, and just putting it out there that I'm open for the discussion, so that we can go ahead and get him out the way. And because I got maybe about 3 people that I want to bring on, who I believe have a very powerful testimony. My brother, Chris Lloyd, we from the same hood. He gave his life to Christ not too long ago. Well, he rededicated his life to Christ not too long ago. I got my boy Stephen Crow. Want to talk to him about music. I still be rocking your stuff, Mo. And then I still got my friend in Saudi Arabia that I'm trying to get onto the show as well, to talk about the actual evidence of the Exodus. Things like the actual mountain that God descended upon, that rock. Y'all remember that rock that Moses struck and he got mad and split? That rock is still there. Recently they found areas in that area where I'm sorry, they found artifacts in that area to suggest that they were doing metallurgy, smelting metals, which would have been necessary for the logistics of and the components that went along with the tabernacle. um yeah, even the altar that they had, where the golden calf was located. So yeah, I got a lot of ideas, and what I really want, again, is we're gonna have this discussion with Captain 10K, and I'm looking forward to it whenever we can plan it. And I'm ready. I'm ready for it. And in the meantime, basically, I'll just keep doing these shows. David, when I first started this, I had a list, and I think I think conspiracy theories was at the bottom of the list, so I may be recycling on subjects after part 2 of this, just to give you a heads up.
All right.
All right, bro. So I'm 11 minutes over time, and so with that, just want to say thank you all for coming out. David, again, thanks again for hopping on, and
No problem.
all right, and we're gonna end it here. And again, check out Paradigm Shift TV. They got a lot of interesting conversations going on. The debate. I miss the I don't know if you've seen it, Dave, but it was a debate about is there alien sentient life out there? And I thought it was funny because I just did a show about UFOs, and you know, it was pretty interesting. So with that being said, again, appreciate it to Paradigm Shift TV. Appreciate you, DMG, and peace out.
Peace out.